wellness. She's got a postgraduate degree in complementary medicine from the Medicina Alternativa, Colombo, Sri Lanka, and a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry. She's a certified nutritionist from Shaw Academy, UK, and a certified health coach from the Health Science Academy. She runs a Medi Ideas Lifestyle and Wellness Center with an energy therapy center and a therapeutic spa, a wellness center with focus on strengthening the health of individuals, families, and organizations, and the community at large. Our center is a full-fledged outfit with focus on electrotherapy, infrared sauna services, comprehensive wellness checks, full body health assessment, nutrition, and other wellness-based services for detoxification, pain relief, stress relief, post-chemotherapy and cancer support, sickle cell support, post-surgery healing, bowel energy therapies, and on and on and on. I mean, she's been working in this field for over 15 years. I mean, I can tell you that I have seen some miraculous stuff, observing her. I have been to a center. I have interacted with some of our clients. I have seen all kinds of, testimonials. I've had all kinds of testimonials from our people. So we're not bringing someone that has not been tested, that doesn't have proofs. She's got a lot of proofs. So I want you guys to welcome with me the CEO, Medi Ideas Center, Mrs. Yonda Abeniga. Okay, so Yonda is there. Yonda, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you live in the web.
Okay, so sorry, I'm in transit, so I'm having to present from the car. But yeah, but just fine. I'm good with it, and I want to say thank you for bringing me up, and thank you for that amazing introduction. I'm grateful.
Okay, so we're just going to do a deep dive. I mean, curiously, what's the meaning of Medi? I mean, your lifestyle wellness center is called Medi Ideas. What does that mean?
Okay, that's a long story, but I'll just try to shorten it. Okay, so it's centered around medical ideas, complementary medicine ideas. It was born with the vision was, I had this feeling that there was some gap in the orthodox and mainstream medicine. And so I found out, because I was trying to read, my dad was diabetic, which you know very well. I've known Praise from way back. So he knows the story. My dad was diabetic, and he was in the US Army, he was Nigerian Army, and so he had the best of care, but he actually died from diabetes. And so I started trying to, being the firstborn, I started trying everything possible to ensure I didn't come down with diabetes. So I started reading. I read back and forth, only to find out that, wow, despite all the medical attention he had, best care, insulin, everything, he still died from the side effects of diabetes. So I knew that I had to do a lot more than what was being offered. And so I started reading, making research, and then I came up with a lot of medical ideas that could have saved his life, and we wouldn't have gone down that drain. He died from everything in the textbook was what came up on him. His brothers had their legs amputated. He had very serious nephropathy and neuropathy, everything. So it wasn't an experience I want to always remember. That's how the medical ideas, complementary medical ideas, came up.
Wow, that's very profound, and that's quite touching. Some people believe that some medical issues are hereditary, and it's almost as if your fate is sealed. That if your father came down with something, you're likely going to come up with the same thing. But I've spoken to a few doctors recently who say it doesn't necessarily have to have an effect on you. I mean, if you do a complete lifestyle change, what exactly is, recently there's been several deaths from undetected ailment to terminal ailment. You know, it's almost as if there is panic out there because you don't know who is next. You know, so what exactly from your because you do a lot of integrative care for people, what exactly is going on in that space?
Okay, so let me start from the first thing you talked about. The idea of heredity. Yes, you come with your genes preloaded, you pick them from your parents. But I remember the saying of Dr. P.K. Shah. He said it on CNN. Well, he's a cardiologist. While he was having a program, I think an interview, I'm not sure who it was, that was interviewing him on CNN. But he said genes are a loaded gun and it is your lifestyle that pulls the trigger. So what it means is that, in simple terms, without complicating science, is that you come preloaded, but there are things that can activate your genes. So you don't necessarily have to activate those genes. So my dad and mom are diabetic. I am not diabetic, but my brother is diabetic. You understand? So, and it was because the difference between us is lifestyle changes. That's one. I am aware of all the things I should do. And I try to tell him, and he's like, oh God, leave me alone. And, we've had some hospitalizations, some admissions, some critical health conditions all showing up. And he's younger than I am. Okay, so that's one. But secondly, I would always come from the dimension of not knowing what is going on. So we always believe that everything is fine, and we believe, and I hear this very funny statement that something will kill man. And I can't, whenever I hear it, I feel like this is the height of responsibility.
Something must kill a man.
Yes. So no, we feel that nothing is going on. We feel we're driving. And let me take this example from the chemo perspective. We see people who have undergone chemotherapy, and they've undergone chemotherapy and everything seems to look very fine. And then all of a sudden you hear, oh, they slumped and died. That's because they looked fine on the surface, but the chemical therapy which they had undergone had killed everything in them. Number one, the red blood cells were gone, white blood cells gone. A lot of things were gone. They were looking fine, and they were seriously anemic, because chemo kills every rapidly dividing cell. It has killed all the red blood cells, killed most of the white blood cells alongside with the cancer. So there is no immunity to fight the cancer. And so all of a sudden you hear that, oh, they shut down and died or something happened. That's it. When we believe that everything is fine, we don't want to do a check. And it's part of what I focus on at a wellness center. I run a lifestyle and wellness center, and part of what we focus on is comprehensive wellness checks. We use AI, that's artificial intelligence, to check what is going on. We use your electromagnetic force fields around you to detect if there are variations in your electromagnetic force fields around you. And we're able to do a 1-year prognosis of your condition, a 5-year prognosis of your condition. And we're able to know, oh, this is what is going on. Sometimes I look like a sweet soothsayer. Someone had called me Jesus Witch one day because I was literally reeling off everything which was going on. So we always believe that everything is fine until the system just shuts down, which is the problem that people have. You believe everything is fine. If you do not run a check, and unfortunately to say, there are conditions, the ongoing checks which we have will only detect, like if you run a blood test, your blood test is only going to let you know the work of the blood is to maintain balance. It's called homeostasis. As long as your blood system is trying to ensure there is a balance, you take a blood test, you do a blood test, it's going to tell you only when this car is about to knock. Do you understand? So if you don't do AI scan, it's pretty new. It's a new evolution in quantum physics and quantum medicine, in which you do AI scans. If you don't check what is ongoing and you know that there is a problem going on, then you will not know when to make those changes. And so people believe everything is fine. Everything is not particularly fine until you check the status of your liver, check the status of your kidneys, know where there are deficiencies, upregulate your immune system, take up all the things that need to be uptaken, and detoxify, remove, eliminate, clean out everything that is making the system to malfunction.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. Okay.
Sorry, I remember where I had my previous office. I remember there was a guy there. He was trying to climb something one day, and then all of a sudden he fell. And that was the beginning of a long walk. So he goes to lawsuit and they tell him, oh, he has, I don't know what they told him. Do you know what happened to him was that his bone had eaten up.
Wow.
And he had bone cancer. And I tell you, that whole condition took him to India before it was detected. And then finally he died because he ran chemo, ran everything, and still he shut down.
Wow. So, I mean, you have said a lot of things, Yonda, that, leaves you wondering, where do we go from here? Or maybe for starters, can you take us through, I mean, because you were born, you just met yourself in your body, right? Nobody taught you anything about your body. As a matter of fact, some of us depended on maybe Bible to teach us our body when Bible is not a biological book. So many of the things you know about the human body system were things that maybe you had your parents watch yourself, or maybe doctor said to you or something like that. What exactly should we know about the human body system? I mean, if you have to, just in summary, tell us about this machine, because you just mentioned that somebody's body shut down, and somebody's bone got eaten up and the person didn't know. What are the basic things we should know about our body systems, and what basic things should we begin? Because you just hear that somebody who was healthy is down with cancer. Someone slumped. This was someone you still play football with and things like that. What are the basic things we should know about the human body system? Are you there, Yonda?
Yes, I am. I'm trying to change my phone. So, but I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. So the first thing is that, I said I'm in transit. So in case this goes off, I'm trying to log in from another phone, from my second phone. All right. So the thing is that one very important thing we should know about the body is that the body was made to self-repair. The body can self-repair from the if you give it everything it needs, it will self-repair. But if you do not give it everything it needs, it will shut down. So that's one thing we should bear in mind and have at the back of our mind. Okay, and then there are situations where we need to eliminate. There are things that we have accumulated over time that we need to eliminate. And then there are things which we need to incorporate. And not only incorporate, there are things which we need to energize. And so there is the eliminate, there's the energize, and there's the eliminate, there's the energize, and there's the need to build up. So I would go ahead and I'll go ahead of myself and talk about supplementation. If there are vitamin deficiencies, your body needs vitamins and you cannot get everything you need from your food. Why? I remember back then we used to do land fallowing, in which you leave the ground to fallow for a while, okay, and then after a while we now go back to plant so that the nutrients can be restored. But now we don't do all those things again. We're genetically modifying food, we're artificially doing everything, hybridization and all that, and so we don't get enough that we need to get the body running. And so the thing we need to know is that we are incorporating a lot of toxins into our system. There's chemtrails, in which chemicals are sprayed into the air. There is our drinks, which is fluoridated. There are bottled waters with a lot of toxins. There are foods which we feel have chemical approvals, some food which we're taking in, we have a lot of aspartame, colored food dyes, our hair dyes, our creams, makeup, everything has heavy metals, chemicals, and all that, which we are incorporating into our body. If we do not constantly eliminate those things, I was thinking, okay, how do I answer this question? Let me talk about our body system. No, but if I start talking about circulatory system, this system, that would be a long thing. But what we need to know is that the body can self-repair if given the correct environment. Two things. Whatever it is you're putting into the body that is acting as a toxin, it could be radiation, it could be anything, then you need to remove it. And what is not there, you need to put back. That's the place for upregulating your nutrition. That's the place for energizing. There are a lot of energy therapies that you can, from infrared to pulsed electromagnetic fields, that you can use to energize your body. And then detoxification, that's the place of removing what should not be there. And then, of course, there's the place of adding what is not there that should be there.
Okay. Now you have, I mean, I think that's the thing, that you are still speaking in parables to me, from everything you are saying. So I'm trying to pin it down, because which is what I love to do. I love to simplify matters, and so that, because when I'm learning in a field that I'm not used to, I try to position myself in a place where, because I'll tell you this, I have gone through the AI test in many places, and by the time they give you your result, almost every food that you love to eat are the things they say, don't eat this one, don't eat that one, eat this one, eat this. In fact, I remember they say my body does not digest yam. And pounded yam is what I love the most, And truth is, by the time they explain a few things, I realize that maybe yam actually gives me a bit of heartburn. So I've reduced my intake of yam. I still try to do pounded yam, sometimes. But if you look at most of the things we eat, even what they call, what's it called now? Organic, may not be organic. So how do you know what to eat? How do you know the purity? Now you have talked about toxins, so do we now go and check, does this thing have toxins? Does this thing have this one? What exactly, in a layman's language, can we do to prevent these things that is causing some kind of health problems for many of our people? The things eating or killing us softly that we're not aware of. What are the things we need to watch out for? Watch out for, and the things we need to stop.
Okay, so I would just say, I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, the apple in Nigeria is in South Africa, so it's waxed, and is this, is that." So I tell them that, have you even started trying to eat healthy? So before you start saying this is genetic, this is that, start with eating raw. As much as possible, avoid processed foods. As much as possible, avoid everything processed. Do your cooking yourself. Do a lot of grains. Do your, as much as possible, take your juices and smoothies handmade, and then your vegetables and all that. So those are natural things you should. Anything processed, once you have food drinks that are colored, those food dyes are not natural dyes. They have side effects to the body. Your cured meat has nitrites in it. Nitrites are carcinogenic. So as much as you're taking your burgers, your corned beef, canned foods with DHT, water in nylons, or some of those things have chemicals which are leached into the water. And let's say for nitrites that is found in cured meat, maybe sausages, salami, all those stuff, nitrites have been found to be carcinogenic. Carcinogenic means they have cancer-causing capacity. Now you will tell me that you did it in trace quantities. So after all, the first thing is, why would you want to take poison in trace quantities? Number two, even if it's in trace quantities, you've been taking it trace over the last 40 years. You're 40 years old and you've been taking it over the last 40 years in trace quantities. And so you have enough in the body to upset the liver. Now, the kidneys, the work of the kidney is to filter acid. It filters your carbonated drinks, filters, which is really acidic because of the CO2, because it reacts with H2O to form H2CO3. That's whatever, a form of acid. So sorry, I didn't want to take you through that. Now your kidney has filtered and filtered. After a while, it just says, guy, I'm not filtering again. And then you start to retain acid. And that acid, whenever an acid is found in the kidneys, it's called uric acid. You retain uric acid. There are pouches of uric acids everywhere. That acid solidifies. It's called calcification. It forms calcification and forms stones. So you have plenty of stones in the kidney. And the thing about the kidney is that 80% of it, until 80% of it is gone, it will not shut down, it will not stop working. So kidney stones happen. And so you see, by the time you are as close to nature as possible, reducing your acidity, cooking your food yourself, then you get things turn out better. Please, I'll need to change my my source of
Okay, we will wait for you so that you can come and unpack some of those things you're packing. Anyway, guys, while she's trying to change her source of the internet, what is your own favorite food? Can you let me, I'm Dr. Praise today. Let me begin to check you guys out. What's your favorite food? Can you go to the chat box and begin to tell us what's your favorite food so that I can know which of you is healthy and which of you is not healthy? Right, they say you should eat a lot of raw, okay, pounded yam and egg for you. That's TPM, pounded yam. Abula, that's mom salad. Abula, which one is okay? I know abula. Beans, good. Fried yam and plantain. Jolakwe, we need to put you in the waiting room. You need to be tested. Mary is saying, I love meat. Somebody saying rice. Roasted plantain, roasted. Let me check you. Okay, I think you are okay. Vegetable, salad, and green juices. Okay, you are healthy. Hot amala, and then we do with fresh fish. Which of the fresh fish? Because some of them are, some of those fresh fish have a lot of, okay, beans and vegetables, bread, and fried plantain. Fries. Been asked to take fries in moderation. In fact, you know, one time I went for medical checkup, and they look at me, and they were like, in fact, the person said that they did my BMI and it was like I was obese. I just looked at the man and said, you don't know what you are saying. Of course, they said they didn't calculate it properly, but the most important thing was that part of my my food intake was not good, you know, because they said I was taking a lot of oil and the doctor said I need to reduce so those things. And they told me the same thing. In fact, in America, my doctor went on for medical checkup. He said, Praise, 70% of your food is Indian. You know, has to be, you know, greens. You have to have rainbow. You know, I was just looking at the guy. So you want me to be eating leaf? Where I'm coming from, you don't understand the power of Eba and apple. You know, I was just looking at the guy. But I mean, guys, if you have to stay healthy, then you've got to put in the right things. They said that your kitchen is either a mortuary or a pharmacy, right? So you want to make your kitchen into a pharmacy. Many of the things we're supposed to be eating, you know, to keep us healthy and not sweet to our tongue. So you have to retrieve. I mean, this week I was studying the food Cristiano Ronaldo eats, the diet of Cristiano Ronaldo. It takes 5 meals in a day, and many of those meals are high in protein. You know, I was looking at it, writing the recipe down. So there was a guy who tried Cristiano Ronaldo's recipe for a whole day. And the guy said he felt a lot of energy, you know, and so many of us don't know what to. When I was in Nigeria, I wanted to do a lot of organic, but even people that sell organic to you, maybe they are the ones telling you it's organic. You don't know how to check whether it's organic or not. So at the end of the day, we spend most of our money consuming the things that will kill us. It's like something must kill a man. Okay, half of one's plate should be greens. That's grace. Most times I try to have fruits in the morning, lunch, like unripe plantain and veggies, or father, or veggies, or fish, pepper soup in the night. You must just eat pepper soup, Jan. fish. Okay, continue. Okay. Is Yonda back? Is Yonda back? We wait for Yonda to connect again. She's trying to change the device, you know, but it's important that we keep elder guys. There's a place called Okinawa. I was doing a research on it, and they said that in Okinawa, an average person will live to 85 years old in Okinawa. Is in Japan, right? And they were trying to research, why do people have live long in Okinawa? And they said two things. They said the environment, the air they breathe is pure, right? And also they talked about their diet, and they talked about nature, that it's as natural as possible, you know. And so I began to research. I didn't know about air that we breathe. And I realized that Africa has one of the most polluted air in the world, that the purest air in the world is, I think it's Iceland. I don't know if that's changed, but it's in the Scandinavian countries, right? Africa has most polluted air, you know, and that was very scary for me, maybe because of the industries and, you know, and I don't know how pure American air is as well, you know. So it's important that we know some of these things. And for me, what I've learned to do is to exercise. I mean, my doctor is somewhere on this call, Dr. Desola, I'm going, she's somewhere there. Every little thing like this is monitoring from the UK, right? I try to work out every day. And I tell people, if you can't go to the gym, let's say you cannot go to the gym, please. There is a lady on YouTube called Leslie Sanson. Leslie Sanson does aerobics on walk aerobics, right? If you join Leslie Sanson for like 15 minutes, you will sweat. Ideally, do 30 minutes with her. You will sweat, because some of us never sweat, right? So if you can maintain that, at least that takes care of your exercise. I do a lot of running on treadmill, but later I was told that running on treadmill can affect your knee at some point, you know, so I've reduced that. I do more of walk, aerobics and things like that. So you need to, please, it's about your life. Don't say, I walk in my place of work. No, your brain needs to know when you are doing exercise. So someone, I don't really like gym. Can you dance if you don't like gym, right? You can do dance aerobics. At least you are dancing in Owambe. So turn your Owambe to your exercise every morning, play some good music and dance. There's a guy called Tosimbi. I was using him for my walk aerobics every morning throughout last year, right? Then number two, I have heard about sun. Many of us stay in AC. So I have learned to go inside the sun. When I was in Nigeria, my office people know. Once it's 9 a.m. and the sun is coming out, I get out of my office. I sit in the sun. I'm like a baby, right? I do that. So sun can give you some, can give you a lot of energy, you know. So I take natural sun, right? So you can also do that. Sun is free. But some of you, the last time you saw sun was when you were in primary school, when you were walking to school. So you need to do that, right? Number three, rest is very important, right? I know I have a challenge in that area. My doctor must be laughing at me, you know, but I try to rest by watching movies, and I sleep now. Before, I don't used to sleep. I almost passed out running a 2 a.m. program in Nigeria like 2 years ago. In fact, I stopped that program because I was running the program and I was losing it. By the time I checked my BP, it was crazy, right? And so
I remember.
My doctor literally told me, Praise, I don't want to see you. She said, my doctor is somewhere here. Said, no, I don't want to see you. So I had to stop. Now I have learned that the body repairs itself at a certain time of the day, so I sleep. So it's important for us. These are literally little things that we can do. I don't know why we can't do them. So exercise, then eat well. I did a black soup last week. I try to cook my things myself. I've been in America, people say, Praise, you are not, even though I've added a bit of weight, but I'm not as big as they expected. Why? Because I know that most of the food in America is flour. So I will not put flour in mine. So I cook my meal. I take the long drive to go and buy my Nigerian stuff and the things I'm used to. Then I had salad to it. So Yonda is back. Where are you? Where are you? Okay. Yes, I can see R.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. So can you bring that back on the screen? Okay, so Yonda, you know, you talked about so many things. already. Now, somebody said when the man cooks, I cook, oh, I cook. I made a dick icon. I make all those kind of things myself. I mean, Google is your friend, and YouTube. Thanks to YouTube, you can do a lot of things. Now, Yonda, now you've talked about some of the things we should be eating. Now, while you were away, I talked about sunlight. What is the place of natural sunlight in maintaining sound health? And what of those of us who live in regions where you may not see the sun? How do we cope? But sun is in Nigeria, but many people are not inside the sun. Which of the sun do we go into so that we don't also go to another extreme? What is the place of sunlight in our health and wellness?
Okay, so it is important. The sun, you get your vitamin D from the sun, so it's more like I don't want to use the wrong word, but it's a precursor to a lot of things. Your cholecalciferol, I think so, cholecalciferol, which is a precursor to, you need it for your bones, for a lot of things. So you are in the sun. Apart from that, not the only thing, it's vitamin D is not the only thing you get from the sun. You also get your infrared, which your body keeps to ensure that your core temperature is maintained. So the thing is, you are in temperate regions where you can't get. So your first thing you should do is to upregulate yourself by supplementing your vitamin D. You understand? Which is there are different IUs of it that you can take. I know that in women with breast cancer, their vitamin D was found to be extremely low. In short, there was a time that it was being said that maybe deficiency in vitamin D, there was a research that almost indicated that a deficiency in vitamin D can be a precursor to breast cancer. Of course, there are other things like aluminum, high concentration of aluminum in the bloodstream and all that can also be a precursor. It can also be carcinogenic. But if you're in temperate regions and you don't want to fall victim of vitamin D deficiency, the first thing you do is upregulate by supplementing. Secondly, if you have locations where you can find infrared saunas, lock yourself in infrared saunas, get all the necessary infrared into the body, because we know that infrared upregulates production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is something that your arteries need to, helps your arteries to widen, and so it helps you regulate your blood pressure. So there are so many benefits that that we obtain from the sun. So when you don't have a direct means of getting it, look for other alternatives to ensure you get it.
Okay, thank you very much, Yonda. We should look for alternatives. So supplementation is very good for us from what you're saying. And that's pretty much good. Now, people live in a high stress environment. Like Lagos is very stressful, right? Some people live in, I have some staff who have not been to their houses for a long time because of traffic, right? And people work in high stress environment, long hours. So naturally, people are stressed. What is the place of stress in our health and wellness? What can stress lead to? And how can we distress, for lack of a better word? Some people say to distress, go for massage. Some people, what I do is I am close to nature. So I live close, even in America. When I was planning to get a house, I ensure that I got a house in a natural habitat. So if I get out of my patio right now, I can see squirrels running. So I walk close to nature and I do stargazing every night. I count the number of stars I can see. I do that. But people cannot do that. That's how I distress. What can stress lead to, and how can people, in practical terms, what can they do? Basic things that is so easy to do that they can do to distress.
Okay, so stress. There are two types of stress. There's the stress, and then there's the eustress, what we call the good stress. Like, let me just talk about the good stress briefly. The good stress is when you are on maybe the treadmill and you're watching your cardiac outputs increase, your pulse increase. You know, the heart is one organ that constantly needs to work. That's the organ that should not rest. The day you rest, everything rests. Okay, so you need to ensure that that heart keeps on working. You are on the treadmill, you are jogging, you're walking, you are going up the stairs and down, exercising the heart. But there's the stress that is, like I call the stress. That's the bad stress, which is the one that you are on a constant cortisol release. Now, if you are, like you were talking about your stuff, you know, that road is one road, Lagos Ibadan, that should not. There were times we were on that road 6 hours, you leave home 6:30 and you got to work 11, 12:30. And that was not particularly good for the body, because what you are doing, you are functioning on what we call adrenaline high or cortisol. Cortisol is the hormone that your body drops into your body to ensure that you keep going. Like, you see a lion enter the room and you get this energy pump in your system, adrenaline is dropped and you're able to scale the fence and jump. Ordinarily, you wouldn't be able to scale that fence, but that short bout of energy comes in and you're able to scale. That adrenaline that is in your body is called the flight and flee hormone. It's a short term, it's supposed to be short term in the body. It's not supposed to stay. Okay, it's just supposed to be there for you to jump the fence and then return to normalcy. But what we do, especially in bouts of anger, is we have a sustained release of adrenaline, a sustained release of cortisol. And when they stay, when they're not supposed to stay, they start to damage the cells. So you get a lot of damage, increased heart rate, high blood pressure, headaches, insomnia. Sometimes you're not able to sleep because you are on a adrenaline high. There's that pop that you should be up and running. So as long as all those things are there, they cause damage to the body. So look, there's no I was in a training one day, and I don't even want to call the name of the person who was asking the question, because it's one of these high profile senior pastors of some churches, and she was asking me that she does a lot of travelings and all that. And so how does she rest? What can she do, or what supplement can she take to ensure that, despite the fact that she's jet lagged, she's able to go? And I stood up and I answered her, ma, there's no supplement you will take that will ensure that your body overcomes jet lag. What your body needs is rest. Like the saying that if you do not rest, you'll be late to rest. Yes, true. I run an electrotherapy center, and there's something called pulsed electromagnetic fields. When you sit on PEMF, you are energized. We use it for energy boost, antidepressant, antidepression mechanisms for people who are depressed, and then we use it as a bout of energy for the elderly. True. When I was still on Lagos Ibadan Express and that thing was happening, I would just plug myself in, get some energy. But that's short term. I get energized on the short term and then I'm back on the road and running. But that's not what your body needs. It's a sustainer. That thing will just sustain you, give you energy to do all that you need to do. But if you do not sleep, you do not self-repair, because it is when you are sleeping that your cells start to rebuild. That's when you find maybe you have a cut in your hand, and then fibrin strands are being laid on them, and then in the morning you find a black thing covering your hand, and your wound is healing. If you do not sleep, your body doesn't enter into the rejuvenate repair mode. So there's no shortcut to it. I wish there was a shortcut to it. It is to rest. So when they were fixing those roads those times, there was a time I just went off work for I'm trying to conserve my battery. I just went off work for 3 days. There were times that I'll take like 2 days off. If you don't rest, yes, you can supplement, you can take your nutrients, you can take everything, you can add a lot of things, maybe take your grains just to keep your body going, but you must rest. So like if you have a bout of anger, I was watching a video and a boy was about to enter tantrum phase, and his brother stopped him and said, hold on, breathe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, breathe. And then I found out that he dropped the tantrum. He was going to go into tantrum because his remote, he wanted to use the remote and the remote was not working. And he wanted to watch maybe one of his favorite cartoons. And so the elder brother held him on the shoulder and said, breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, the tantrum went down, and then they were able to maybe pick the remote, fix it, and all that till the TV started again. But the point there is that we need to take it easy when we're about to lose it. If we can take a deep breath in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you will find out that the head you're about to break, you don't end up breaking it. So those are simple things we could do. Deep breathing, 8-4-8, the 8-4-8 method. That's you breathe in air, 8 seconds, hold it in for 4 seconds, and push it out for 8 seconds. That's 8-4-8. Take in air 8 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, push it out for 8 seconds. Number one, it helps your heart to relax. Number two, it helps you to get oxygen down, right deep down. I don't want to say into the stomach area, but you get a blood rush around that side. And then it looks as if you've been jogging when you do that.
Thank you very much, Yonda. I did do a lot of study on breathing, because breathing is so key to what I do. And one of the things we say for people who have uncontrollable anger is to count 60 down to 0. So instead of, don't count off, 60, 59, by the time you count down, your breathing would have changed and you realize that you are more or less in control of what you're doing. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot. And I'm sure it's a question in people's hearts. After this question, I'll go I'll go into the comment section, because I think I have about 2 questions there. Is every ailment reversible? That's one. I have had people say that there are no incurable ailments, only incurable persons. But I have seen people spend their last. I've seen people become impoverished by spending money to save somebody, and the person still dies. If every ailment is reversible and none of these things is cheap, why do people still spend so much money and the person still dies?
Okay. Let me start by saying the answer is a yes and a no. In the complementary medicine space, if we were overseas, I'll be called a naturopath or an MD. Instead of an MBBS, I have an MD. That's Doctor of Medicine in Complementary and Alternative Medicine. So in the CAM space, they always want to say everything is reversible. But let me be factual with you. When I was still practicing, when I had my mentor still in the country, and then I used to send him cancer cases, and he would tell me, he would say, Yonda, don't send me anybody whose liver is not working 120, 200%. And I'm like, sir, I'm like, of course, he had taught me a lot before he left. So, and I laugh when he said that. I said, how am I going to get someone whose liver is working 200% or 120%? Let me be clear, without beating around the bush. When you have people in stage 4 cancer who have liver issues, that it would take only a miracle to get that reversed. Because number one, the liver is the organ that will, I don't want to say yes, no, I'll just pinpoint conditions that only God can reverse, okay? A stage 4 cancer with maybe a liver deterioration, there's not much you can do, because even if you're going to infuse him with a bulk of supplements and of course maybe his chemo or whatever, it's the liver that is going to process it. So it's only the maker who made him that can come in at that point. So let's get that clear. When it's still in stage 1, stage 2, you go and go on all sorts of crazy protocols and then get results. Okay. Number 2, conditions like genetic conditions like a Down syndrome, things that come with the source code, your DNA code, your AS, sickle cell, all those things, that you can't reverse them. Look, I was training, I was invited to lecture on the biochemistry of CAM, of complementary and alternative medicine, and I was teaching them, and I was trying to explain to them that, because it was a mixed audience, I was trying to explain to them that, look, there's nothing you can do about a sickle cell person All you can do is ensure that the condition does not deteriorate and you're able to keep them steady and all that. And I saw a lady squeeze her nose at me and I laughed. Look, you cannot change the DNA protocol, the DNA sequence of that person. There's no gene modification you want to do that you will use unless you're doing bone marrow transplant or something like that, which is really a very high skill therapy. You can't change those conditions. But for things like diabetes, I mean, you can easily, if you're strictly regulating your diet, but after a while, you do all the things you should do. After a while, your numbers will become regular. At least I have clients whose numbers. I had this guy come into this, and I think I had a program on channels, and then he saw me, and then he came into the center, and I begged him. I said, buy supplements, not because I wanted to sell supplements, but because I really wanted him to be a success story. You know how you really wanted him to be well. And he said, I'm not going to buy anything. So he did every form of electrotherapy we asked him to do. And then we gave him a meal guide and his numbers went down. I was in shock. He's the MD of a company. I was in shock myself. I begged him. I said, please buy. You know, I just wanted to upregulate the results. But he refused. And so here we are. Those kind of conditions, lifestyle conditions, are reversible when you follow all the regulations and the rules. High blood pressure, as far as you take out all the things that are causing plaques if their high blood pressure is as a result of fat deposits in the blood vessel. If you do a chelation, I won't tell you how to do chelation because medical chelation it has to be done by a doctor. But if you're doing a calm chelation with there are some things like saying amino acids and all that stuff and all that, you know, that you do. If you do that, the plaques will fall off and the blood pressure will return to normal. And then if you build up the arteries very well with your omega-3s and co, the arteries will return to normal because your red blood cells are renewed every 120 days. So that means that if you give the red blood cells the necessary requirements to rebuild, you will get new sets of cells, which is really difficult, but it's doable.
Okay, when you talk about supplements, Yonda, I want you to be very clear. What are supplements? Because somebody can hear supplement now and hear, because they are selling a lot of supplements in Nigeria, for example. Some with this bitters, that bitters, come and take this. You enter bus. Oh, if you take this thing, it cures everything. Kind of, is that a supplement? What are supplements? And how must it be prescribed by a professional or,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say that I don't particularly subscribe to, I don't say you should go after brands. I see quite a lot of people go after brands. This one, they work, that one, and then all sorts. Look, when we do, there's something called targeted nutritional supplementation. We're looking at maybe a cardiac issue and we're supplementing with CoQ10, omega-3s and all. There's a regimen for it, and so it's not something you can do yourself. I'm a certified nutritionist, so we do supplemental regimens for people. I see people spend money. I had a lady working one time. She had done a mastectomy and all that, and she said, I had so and so oil. I don't want to call the name. Let me call it. She said, I had CBD. I had this one. I had mirrors. I said, excuse me, ma. See, you don't do you just hear this one, hit on it, hear this one. At the end of the day, you're going, and I'm talking of her spend like 300K to buy all these things. No, they're not particularly cheap. I said, see, you don't hit the road, enter from this angle, enter. What you're treating is a multi-pronged condition. So you need to get someone who is trained to let you hit it. We need to give you liver support, kidney support if your creatinine is high, if this is high, if this angiotensin is low or too high. We need to focus what we're giving you around that dimension, not that you just hit the road. And I see it, people just hit the road, buy this, and then at the end of the day, you hear, they work. That's the problem we've always had. And then people also want to do herbs. I would jump ahead of myself by saying for herbs, you need to do what we call, you need someone who is trained, who understands those things very well. And it's difficult because now most of the people who do herbs are basically tradomedical people. So that's really difficult. But if you find people who have CAM degrees and who understand how herbs should be used, then it's easy. I do herbs and I do, but not like the trado guys would do. So if it's in nano forms, it's in supplement form, it's encapsulated and all that, and that helps with different conditions from prostate health and all that, liver cleanses and all that. But if you're going to do it, and then the problem with herbs is that dosage. Now, why there's no fixed dosage is because it's usually by body mass. If I take a neem tincture, sorry, if I take a neem broth now, that's dongoyaro. I take half a glass and it works for me. A praise might not be able to take what I will take because our weights are different. So he will take a lot more than I do. And that's why there's no fixed dosage on herbs. So don't jump into herbs if you do not have a guide, if you do not have someone trained in CAM. And that space is really you find very few educated people there, I must say, with all due respect. So when you find one person, if you are able to find someone who really understands CAM, then it's easy for you to get treatment using naturals if you want to do naturals and you want to do organics. I hope I answered the question.
Let me tell you a personal story. So I love herbs, and because I'm a health freak, so I remember that my wife's younger sister's wedding, I couldn't stay there for more than 1 hour because there was a new guy I met who said, I'm a herbalist, I can mix herbs, we will detox you, blah, blah, blah. So I bought the herb from him. I met him in church, gave me the herb. So I took it on my way to the wedding. When I got to that wedding, my eyes started turning. So I told my wife I want to go home. As in, when I got back home, I was stooling, I was vomiting. I must have done those two more than 40 times.
I'm sorry I laughed.
Then I remember that I just needed to be dehydrating, hydrating. So I was pushing in water. I had to call a friend who, he now said this Babalawo is going to kill you. What did they mix? By the time I told him what they mixed, he said they shouldn't have mixed all this kind of things. So from that time, I respected myself because I'm sharing personal experience, because all over the TV, you hear this person, take this tea, you will slim down, in 2 days, you will slim down. Take this one. If you drink this one, this thing will happen. And people have messed up their liver, messed up their kidney because of some of these things, right? And so I'm always very, very careful. So guys, don't just listen to somebody's story. I took this thing and it worked for me, and go and take it. I beg you in the name of God, right? We need to, in fact, now I do preventive medicine. That's where I am. To say, let's eat right. Let's do what we need to do before we get into trouble. Now, we have like 2 questions on the chat box. I'm just going to read them. Someone says, I got this vitamin D that says I should use it with calcium. What should I do? That's number 1 question. And someone else is asking, sorry, let me scroll up and find that person who is saying that I'm a woman. As a lady, I do annual wellness and annual well woman check. Is this sufficient? So 2 questions.
Okay, I would like to start with the second one. Like I said, I think I should be able to put on my video now. Okay, like I said, annual wellness, it's okay to do those checks, annual wellness checks. It's okay to do those checks, but like I always say that if all you are relying on is the blood checks, then you might miss out on some things. So it's good to do your annuals, yes, but I found out that there are some I found out that there are some times that the annuals don't 100% capture it. You know why? Now, with all due respect to senior colleagues and all that in the complementary, in the orthodox. When you do your annual, like I've seen the package for the annual medicals, it's your blood work and then some selective scans, maybe an MRI or something, of selective areas. So meaning that there is a chance for some of the places which you did not do MRI on for you to miss out what is going on there. So if you there are some it's when you do a blood check, it's because the disease is commencing. That's when you find it in the bloodstream. There's something called biomarkers. If a disease starts growing, you grow an antibody to it. And so it's that antibody that you have in the body that we are checking for from the blood. I hope that's clear. So when you go and do a tumor marker, a cancer marker, a CA125 or something, you are checking for the marker of that cancer in the body, meaning that how much of those antibodies has my body produced to fight what is ongoing. So if you don't do preventive scans, check the integrity of this, check, are there cell changes? Is there hyperplasia? Are there multiple cells or whatever? If you don't do those checks, you would not know whether how much of it has started, where there are cell changes. And that's why the EMF scans come in, because once there is alteration in the biofields that your body is presenting, once there is an alteration in that biofield, even before you start having the antibodies rise, the scanners are able to detect it. So it's good to do your annuals, but I always want to take it one step further to check your biofields, because your biofields is your electron field. You are able to see, oh, right, my 1 year prognosis, my 5 year prognosis. Right now, you can't get that on the mainstream fields, but you can get it in other fields. What is my toxic load? What is my allergen load? What is my food what is the state of my liver, the integrity of my liver, my ventricular ejection pump reading, my stroke volume, my myocardial blood perfusion, all those things. There are markers that will let you know that problem is coming, and it's coming very soon. So that's why I would always say, yes, the annual medicals are good, yeah, but then you need to do a lot more. The world is changing, and so is everything, so you shouldn't die. You should actually, my slogan is see what is hidden. Once you're able to see what is hidden, then you're fine. Please, can you remind me the first question?
First question, I got this vitamin D that says I should use it with calcium. What do I do? Then someone else is asking, how do we do this biomarker test? I think this person is in America. Yeah, at their place you can do it in the US.
Okay, so there's something called we do remote scans. We'll get your you'll need to speak with me. I don't want to push that technology on this field, but there's remote scans, so we can scan you from there. Okay. All right. Yeah. Before I get called all the names, I know people have called me all sorts of names, but when I give you the physics, well, it works. Okay, so for the calcium and vitamin D, yes, you can supplement your vitamin D with calcium, especially if there is osteoporosis, bone issues, PMS issues, menopause issues. You should supplement. But if it is for a heart condition, I always tell people, yes, calcium is good to supplement, but always add the magnesium. Yeah, because you have the whole lot of calcium from your head to your toe, your bones.
High blood pressure is a major issue right now for many people, and it's cost us. In the last 1 week, I've seen some deaths, and people say it's high blood pressure. What's the fastest way or the easiest way to bring down high blood pressure? Are there other deeper things they need to investigate? I know that you're a professional. It's like when I go on programs and people say, what's the fastest way out of my marital problem? I say, there's no fastest way. I first need to do investigation to know exactly what you're dealing with before I can diagnose. Accurate diagnosis, I think, is the most important thing in our field of family life. Or someone is asking, high blood pressure, what's the way out of that?
Okay, so you've answered it. Because look, there can be there can be different causes of the high blood pressure. There's something called atherosclerosis. There's something, it could either be deposits of plaque in the arteries. It could be arrhythmias, irregular heartbeat. All sorts of things could be the cause of the high blood pressure. It could be poor integrity of the blood vessels. It could be poor vascular elasticity. So many things. So if I give you a one size fits all, I have ended up doing what the trado medical guys would do. That I beg, take this thing, go work. So, but basically, general health. Yeah, people say garlic and all that would help with heart health. And then, of course, I would always say do CoQ10, coenzyme Q10, ubiquinol. I think that's the name. Helps a lot with heart health. But look, if I don't know what the cause of the heart health issue is, I cannot particularly say this is what you should do. But some lifestyle changes would help a lot. Lose weight, that's the first thing. Eat organic, do your greens. Greens means anything raw, your smoothies, your juices. Just bring down the acidity, bring down the fat level. Do your hibiscus drinks and all that, which helps with mopping up cholesterol from the bloodstream. Your lime, lemon. Please, I hope no one asks questions about lime and lemon being acidic. It just helps with cleaning out your blood vessels. And then, of course, if it is real bad, then there are amino acid therapies we could incorporate alongside with some high dose vitamins, which I don't want to name now. Okay. Because so you don't start trying it.
There is a question. Then I'm going to ask this question. I'll ask my final question. I don't know if you can put your people asking for your Instagram handle or your website. If there's a way you can put that on the chat box, that would be fantastic. But someone is asking, I'm having everyday constant headache, and I've gone for blood and stool tests, and they diagnosed me of malaria. Yeah. Me, Nigeria healthcare system.
I'm sorry.
I was a regular customer, malaria and typhoid. I was taking antibiotics in fact, after a while, I knew my result and I knew what to take ahead of time. Okay, so he said I've been placed on and I got better. And I also told of low BP. What can I do to get better and normal again? I hope you're not dealing with stress, David. But that over to you.
Okay, so you know that let me start with a run-of-the-mill diagnosis, which shouldn't be actually. Sorry, I'm trying to upload my details.
It's not clear enough, maybe because it's on your phone or something.
I'm going to. Okay. Yeah. So it would load into the screen. Okay. So for headaches, what run-of-the-mill diagnosis is maybe there's some form of dehydration. But I don't think this is a case of dehydration because you are having to do blood tests and they're telling you that it's malaria. But you need to do a lot more investigation than that. So do just to relax. I think you would just need to take a lot of water to at least get off that headache. But look, a migraine requires a lot more. I don't want to scare you. If you have a pituitary tumor or something in the head, or there is a glioblastoma or all sorts of things could lead to, please, it is not malaria and fever. That's all I want to say. A migraine is something that you need to do an MRI, get to the root of it, or do a scan or do an AI scan. An AI scan is fast to see if there's the angioblastoma or a glioblastoma or there's spongiblastoma, or whatever kind of blastoma is there. If there's a blastoma there, if there's a mass weighing on the head, try ensuring that there's pressure on that portion of the head. Look, migraine, on incessant migraines. Have you been vaccinated? That's one other thing. If you've been vaccinated and then the headache starts post-vaccination, then you really need to do a brain MRI.
Okay, my final question, Yonda. If there are 5 things you want us to live with to maintain optimum health, 5 things that we can do after this meeting, to say, if you do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? What will those 5 things be?
Okay, sorry, can you see the screen? I don't know.
We have
I
seen,
think
the screen. We have seen the screen.
Oh, okay. Can I take it off or I should leave it?
You can take it off.
Okay. All right. Taking it off is like writing jam again. So, all right. So 5 things. Number 1 is checks. Okay. Do your checks. Know where you are. You know, the LDL, HDL, that's bad cholesterol, good cholesterol, and all that. Know where you are. Know your heart rate, your pulse, and all that. BMI, all the things as much as possible. Look, I am not part of the people that say your BMI must be perfect. It's a bit of an uphill task in this side of the world to have your BMI perfect, but be as close as possible to it. I mean, the Asians are very good at having their BMI correct. I don't know, they just don't eat. But know your numbers. Number 2, despite the fact that you know your number, see what is hidden. As long as you know what is hidden and what you are brewing, you are able to take preventive steps. I remember a story that Praise shared with me. I wouldn't call the name, okay. I think she did a scan and found out that she was predisposed to, I think, cancer or breast cancer. And she went 360 degree. You know, when the scare shows up in your face and they're like, it will soon show up, the marker. And she did a complete overhaul, holistic living, changed her lifestyle, went drastic, lost weight, did everything like bad, 1 or 2 years. And then she came out, went back for her markers, boom, she was clean. So see what is hidden. Don't let anything take you unawares. Then the 3rd thing is eat right. Be as close to nature as possible, especially for our friends in diaspora. You are dealing with a lot. I mean, here, Africa, we're still as close to, at least we are closer to the Garden of Eden than you guys. Sorry. Okay, but you are so close to GMO foods, that's genetically modified foods. You are so close to all those things, and GMO has a lot of bad effects. Your water is fluoridated, you have fluorine in your water, so you need to detoxify as much as possible, your detox. So you have to find out where you can do your infrared, you have to find out where you can do detox. You need to see, please, like PF said, that he took somebody's, me, if you give me a herbal formulation, I will not touch it until I read what is there. And I am convinced that I understand all the mechanisms of actions because I did some form of biochemical pharmacology while I was in school. So if I don't understand your mechanism of action, I won't take it. So there are liver cleanses that you can take, which you look at it and you say FDA certified, halal certified, kosher certified. When you are comfortable with those labels on it, then you can take them. Liver cleanses, colon cleanses, and all that. Push out, detoxify as much as possible. And then your grains will also detoxify you. Your cabbage mix, for us down here, ugu, all those things. They would give you nutrients. But when you start taking things like dandelion leaf, you see those ones will help you with detoxification. So I said, number 1, do the checks. Number 2, see what is hidden. Number 3, eat right. Number 4, remove what you should remove. That's elimination. Then number 5, get more knowledge. I would say, let me say 6 before get more knowledge. Exercise, oxygenate, and energize. Exercise, oxygenate, and energize. They're all in one bullet point. And then, of course, get more knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yonda. It's been nice having you here.
How do I get this
so
off?
much for being here. We are really, really grateful. Else, can we say thank you? Can we say thank you to Madam Yonda for this? I mean, preventive health is wealth. Health is all we have. And I have learned to prioritize my health. Very important. So I'm going to appeal to you, please. Also check your mental health. We did a bit of a session on mental wellness before now. If you realize that you are always complaining more than you are grateful, you see what is wrong in your children or in your family members faster than what is right. You are always easing, you ease more. Those are things that you need to check almost immediately, because see, there's no wellness within. There can't be wellness without. And if you live in unforgiveness, please learn to forgive people. Those are things that we can do, right? While I know they finish, that's what people say. You know, this world, take it easy. I tell people, this life, none of us can live here at the age of 300. You won't be here for 300, till 300. So if you're going to be here till about 90, why will you not forgive? Why will you fight people? Why will you want to control the whole world? Learn to play. Can we play like children once again and just do the basic? Just enjoy life. Level I am right now, Soft Life PLC. That's where I am. So please, guys, God will help us. So over to you, Shetunde. Thank you very much, everyone. Admin, please, can we unmute R? Looks like we can get her. Somebody that surrendered to God.
Yeah, so I was being asked what was the meaning of my name, so I had to type it out.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we can't seem to get Shetunde out of mute, so I'll just take a few announcements, and we'll close so that we keep you guys waiting. So thank you everyone for joining, and you know how we do it here. This is House of Saviors. You know what our vision and our mission and everything is.